everybody, Moarhammer here, got another battle report for you, and this one is another pretty special one because it's massive. I'm using pretty much my entire Nurgle force of goodness, so I'll just jump straight into the armies. Here's my army. It's pretty much my entire Nurgle force that I own currently, and I'm using every single bit of it, and that's pretty fantastic. So here is the army breakdown. And here is my opponent's army. From sort of left to right, on the far left, he has the unit of 20 Blood Warriors, behind which are 2 Khorne. Then right of them are 2 Skull Cannons and Scarbrand, the man himself. In front of them, 20 Bloodletters, a War Shrine, 10 Skull Reapers and 5 Fleshhounds. Then just to the right, you've got a Demon Prince, a Chaos Lord on Juggernaut, 4 characters in the middle there. You've got an Exalted Deathbringer, Valkyrie the Bloody, a Blood Stoker and a Slaughter Priest. Behind them you've got 2 units of 20 Blood Reavers, so 40 Blood Reavers, and 5 Marauder Horsemen. Like I said, he had a few more bits than this. He had an additional 10 Skull Reapers, that's it. Is that right? Yeah, Skull Reapers. 5 Wrathmongers, 10 more Fleshhounds, a Skull Grinder, another character, and 2 Soul Grinders. So that's what he had in addition to this. So quite a sizable force there. So I'll just jump straight into the game. So here's the board we are playing on, and with our armies filling up almost our entire deployment zones. As you can see, there are 3 blue gems on the middle of the field. So these 3 gems are the objectives, and at the end of each battle round, so 2 player turns is a battle round, then each battle round, whoever has models within 3 inches of it, and there are no enemy models within 3 inches of it, they will score 1 victory point. There's also a victory point for, there's 2 victory points for killing the enemy's general, and there's a single victory point for killing the enemy lieutenant. So we've designated a lieutenant who can also use their command ability. Just so, in such a big game, we decided that 2 command abilities might make things a bit more interesting, but more fun. So that's what we're going for. So there's obviously the point of having this is that points will accumulate over the entire game rather than just at the start, and we like that concept. So here's his deployment. On the left-hand side, he's got 20 Blood Reavers with the Skull Grinder kind of in the middle. Behind him is 20 Skull Reapers. Then he's got a bunch of Blood Reavers at the back there, a Blood Stoker, so that's the Banner Bearer, and the War Shrine. Then just to the right of them are another unit of Blood Reavers, Valkyrie the Bloody, and 5 Wrathmongers, and the Blood Stoker, that's the whippy guy. Then you've got Scarbrand next to a Soul Grinder. Behind the Skull Grinder are more Blood Reavers, and in front of them are some Fleshhounds. Then over to the right, you've got 2 Khorne, 2 Skull Cannons. Behind them is the Exalted Deathbringer, who's his lieutenant, and his Chaos Lord on Juggernaut, who's his general. And to the right there, you've got the other Soul Grinder, behind which are 5 Marauder Horsemen, in front of which are 5 units of Fleshhounds, 5 Fleshhounds, and a Herald of Khorne. And to the right of the Soul Grinder, you've got 20 Bloodletters, 5 more Fleshhounds, 10 Skull Reapers, or 10 more Skull Reapers, and a Demon Prince. And on my side, I've got 6 Plague Drones. then a Herald of Nurgle, 5 Furies, a Harbinger of Decay, 6 Nurgling bases, then a big unit of 30 Ungor, 18 Chosen. Then I've got something in the middle. I've got a Great Bray Shaman, a Spell Familiar or a Chaos Familiar, and a Sorcerer Lord of Nurgle. Then a massive block of 50 Plague Bearers with a Demon Prince next to it. Behind that is the Filthapult, the Plague Claw Catapult. Then I've got the Glotkin, he's my general. Next to a Spell Familiar and Orgot's Demon Spew, and he's my lieutenant. Then I've got 5 Putrid Blight Kings, the Lord of Plagues, Epidemius, and 3 Beasts of Nurgle. That is my deployment. So I finished putting down first, and I decide I want to go first. I really want to push forward and try and get some shooting in with my catapult and stuff. So I jump straight in. I push everything forward, cast some command abilities. I get Fleshy Abundance, so +1 wounds on every model in the Plague Bearer unit off. This is nice. I get Mystic Shield on Orgots and the Glotkin. I use the Orgot's command ability on the Blight Kings, and I use Inspiring Presence on the Ungor. I didn't want them running anywhere too quickly. Pretty much nothing else happens in my shooting phase. My Plague Catapult misses, everything else was out of range, I couldn't charge anything, so we go into his turn 1. And he charges forward pretty aggressively, as you might have expected. He charges Valkyr pretty far forward. He's hoping to get first turn Cannonball charge with her, and that's fine. And then pretty much everything else just charges forward. I don't think there's much thought in the whole thing. He gets a couple of command abilities off here and there, but they're not too relevant. He gets a lot of them on Valkyr, so he gets the Bloodstoker's Whip. She moves 3 inches extra in the charge phase, off of Valkyr, which can be pretty useful, and a bunch of random pluses to wound and attack with her. So she's looking pretty nasty. Go to the shooting phase, which he has a quite substantial one with the Soul Grinders and Skull Cannons, because Khorne. And he's able to aim both Skull Cannons at my catapult and kill it. Which kind of sucked. I was hoping to have a bit greater effect with that, but oh well. With no other shooting doing anything of note, I think he might have put a single wound onto the Glotkin with a Soul Grinder, but I'm going to heal at the start of my next turn, so it doesn't matter. He charges in with Valkyr and manages to hit straight into the Harbinger of Decay. Is the character. She's really nasty on the charge at character assassination, so I was a bit concerned about this. He also charges his Demon Prince into the Beast of Nurgle, and that's fine. I was actually quite comfortable with that. So he goes with Valkyr first, and able to slap 6 wounds on the Harbinger. Oh, I had 1 wound left. That was really, really close. So I was feeling a bit nervous there. But fortunately, I'm going to get to pile in with quite a lot of my stuff from around there, so should hopefully be able to kill her in retaliation. But firstly, I go to the Beasts, and I managed to slap down that Demon Prince without any problem. I'm within 7 inches of Epidemius, so all my attacks on the Beasts get double damage, and I roll pretty high for my random attacks. I'm able to put exactly 8 wounds onto her, and that's fantastic. Over here, I pile in against Valkyr, and I actually do pretty crap. I've fluffed my rolls, but she's got that armour where you roll -1 to wound. It actually really, really helped her. So I'm only able to get 2 wounds through total, and that was kind of crap. So yeah, but that's fine. So we go to the initiative roll-off, and fortunately I win it, which is really helpful. And I start with my command abilities. I cast Fleshy Abundance again on the Plague Bearer, so there's now 100 wounds of Plague Bearer sitting there. I get Orgot's Fester and Rot command ability on the Plague Bearer, the Putrid Blight Kings. I get Mystic Shield and the Chaos Sorcerer's re-rolling 1s to hit, wound, and armor saves on the Glotkin. And the Glotkin uses his command ability for +1 attack for everyone within 14 inches, and that's a really nice one. In terms of movement, the Beasts go forward. They're going to hopefully charge the Flesh Hounds. My Putrid Blight Kings are hopefully going to get into the Bloodletters. My Orgots wasn't sure. I was hoping to get my Glotkin into either the Flesh Hounds or the Soul Grinder and hopefully bring it down. So everything was planning on charging. I was also going to get my Plague Drones on the left-hand side into the Blood Warriors. Now, the combat with Valkyr, I largely moved stuff away. My Ungor weren't going to do anything there. My Furies were useless. I wanted to get them out of the way and hopefully use them as a bit of a human shield against anything counter-charging my Plague Drones. My Nurglings kind of stay where they are, but yeah, they were fine in combat. I wasn't too worried about them. But most importantly, I moved my Chosen up. They were a good chance of getting rid of her, so that was my plan. But before I fled with my Harbinger of Decay, I used his Rot Sword, so it's just on a 2+, an enemy hero can take D3 mortal wounds. Unfortunately, I roll a 1 for it, so she takes another mortal wound, and then I flee with him as well, because I didn't want him dying just yet. So we go into the shooting phase, and I've actually got a pretty decent one this time. Orgots uses his tongue shooting attack, and manages to kill the Herald of Khorne outright, which is pretty sweet. The plague drones bring up their death's heads and throw a bunch of them at the Wrathmongers, and even though I've only got 6 shots, I managed to kill one, which is fantastic. Unfortunately, the Glotkin's shooting attack misses, but whatever, I can take that. So we get charges in. My beasts go into the Fleshhounds, my Blightkings and Orgots hit the Bloodletters. Over here, this massive Fustercluck in the middle. The Glotkin kind of goes into the Soul Grinder, but is close enough to attack the Fleshhounds if he wants. The Demon Prince also makes it into the Fleshhounds, along with the Plague Bearers. And then over here, the Chosen make it into Valkyria, and that's fine. And up here, the Plague Drones make it into the Blood Reavers. So I start off with the Glotkin, and with my impact hits plus all my attacks, I end up doing about 22 wounds to the Soul Grinder, just absolutely annihilate him. This mountain of loathsome flesh runs into the Soul Grinder, and the Soul Grinder's like, ah! It was pretty good, so that's a nice big thing out of the way. I really didn't want to have to deal with him, so that's fantastic. Then he goes over here next with his Blood Warriors. He piles them all in. Unfortunately, he doesn't get too many attacks because they've only got a 1-inch range attack, so he gets a decent number. He manages to just kill one, so he does 5 wounds to the Plague Drones, and taking one off, and that's okay. That's not too fussed about that. Over here, I attack with my Blight Kings, and holy shit, Blight Kings are amazing. With about 15 attacks, I kill 14 Bloodletters, just because you get your attacks, and then you get D6 hits for every hit of a 6, so you end up getting more hits than you have attacks. It's crazy. So yeah, really happy with these guys. Managed to murder a whole bunch of Bloodatter, and that's fantastic. Over here he goes with Valkyria next, because he wants to do as much damage before she dies. Plinks off a single Chosen and does a wound on another, and that's alright. Can't argue that. So I go over here next with my Beasts of Nurgle, and I'm easily able to kill all the Fleshhounds. I'm still within range of EPIDEMIUS, so I've got double damage on these Beasts of Nurgle, and that's fantastic. Over here then, I go with my Demon Prince, and I'm able to kill 4 of the Fleshhounds, so I've got 8 wounds onto them, and that's cool. And then the Bloodletters attack back against my Blight Kings, doing 2 wounds to a single Blight King. And yeah, I'll take it. He rolled 2 6s to hit with the mortal wounds, so they're pretty damn good actually. I'm really glad I managed to get rid of a bunch of them before they attacked. Then over here, I pile in with my Chosen, and they make very short work of Valkyria, so she died a horrible death, and I'm very happy about that. Then next, over here, he attacks with his Fleshhound, I think, and does nothing, maybe? This is 100 wounds of Plague Bearer here. This is extremely not going to shift fast. Over here, Orgots attacks the Bloodletters and is able to kill 5. Not quite all of them, but unless he rolls a 1 for his Battle Shock, he's not going anywhere. And even then, he's probably dying. He'd have to roll a 1 for his Battle Shock, and then a 6 for the number of models that come back, just not to die. So pretty unlikely. Then I attack. I think he's out of combats to attack with, so I attack here with my Plague Drones, and I don't do too well. I fluff my attacks a little bit. I kill 3 total, so I do 6 wounds on them, which I can live with. But I would have liked to have done better there. So we go to the initiative roll off. No, sorry, we go to his turn, and he moves a bunch of stuff. The Skull Reapers on the right-hand side, they kind of move around. His stuff in the middle kind of stays there, shimmies around a bit. His Skull Cannons and the Soul Grinder shift across to allow Scarbrand through. Now, Scarbrand gets whipped by the Bloodstoker and gets a bunch of different abilities put on him to give him really a lot of extra stuff. The Wrathmongers kind of move forward with him with the idea that he'll get +1 attack on both his axes if they're within 6 inches of the Wrathmongers, and that's quite scary. So he's eyeing up the Chosen. He wants to get the charge and the first attack on them, I think. On the left-hand side, then, everything kind of moves forward. Interestingly, so he tried to move his War Shrine forward, but he couldn't finish it not being within 3 inches of an enemy model, so that's quite nice. He was kind of pinned there. And then, everything else just moves forward. In his shooting phase, the Khorgoraths use their weird shooting, slimy, tonguey, fisty attack on the Demon Prince and pluck a wound off. That's not too bad, I suppose. Then his Marauder Horseman throws some javelins at the Glopkin and able to plink a wound off. I rolled a 2 for my save. And then we go into the charge phase. So his Skull Grinder charges the Plague Drones, trying to take them down there. His War Shrine and Slaughter Priest charge the Furies, just to get them out of the way, I think. Scarbrand here, this big motherfucker, charges the Chosen, and I was pretty nervous. I've got a lot of wounds there, but he has a seriously high damage output, so I was a bit concerned. Then over here, his Khorgoraths and Fleshhounds charge the Ungor, and the Skull Reapers charge the Beasts, to get them out of the way. So, obviously the clear first one to go with first is Scarbrand here. He bellows a white-hot burning roar of rage and annihilates 3, 6, 9, 10 Chosen. 10 Chosen. Holy shit. Absolutely outstanding. I was terrified of that. That was an appalling amount of damage. Oh, God. But at the very least, I've still got some left to attack, so there's that, I guess. So I attack over here with my beasts, and they do really, really well. I've still got the double damage thing from EPIDEMIUS being close by, and I'm able to kill 5 Skull Reapers altogether. So it's 15 wounds they put out. I rolled really well, and I'm extremely happy about that. So he then goes over here with his Blood Reapers against my Plague Drones, and he's able to do really, really well. He rolls amazingly, and he kills 2 Plague Drones and puts 4 wounds on another. I absolutely pants up my rolls to save, so that didn't help, but yeah, so that was very, very strong, and I was a bit nervous now. Then we go over here, I started piling with my Plague Bearers next, so they were within range to just pile on the Khorgoraths, so that's exactly what I do. They all slam in here, and are able to kill, put a couple of wounds on the Khorgoraths, not great, I think I put 3 or 4 wounds, actually roll pretty crap, but yeah, you can't win them all. He makes his saves, what can I say? So he attacks next with his Fleshhounds, who are all getting a bunch of extra attacks from the Wrathmongers and the Bloodstoker's banner, giving +1 attack to everything within 18 inches. That's quite nasty. There's a lot of stuff within 18 inches. They end up losing a bunch of Ungor. You can see that gap. Lose about 8 or 9 Ungor. And that's pretty nasty. Then over here, I pile with my Furies. I've got not much else that can attack before that hasn't already been attacked. So I go here next. My Furies pile in. Don't do anything to the Slaughter Priest. When he attacks back, he murders every single one of them. They all die. Which kind of sucked, but they're only Furies, I'm not too concerned about that. And then I attack over here with my Plague Drones, and I do pretty well. I do kill a fair chunk of them, but for every one I kill, they get to attack back, and for every save they make on a 6, then they do a mortal wound to me. So I actually suffered pretty badly here and take another 4 wounds from that, so killing an extra plate, the floating Plague Drone, and putting 3 wounds on another. That was harsh. So yeah, that was great. And over here, his Skull Reapers come to attack back, and they're pretty pissed after losing 5 of them, so they're able to kill 2 whole beasts and put a wound on another. These guys are really angry, and that was a bit concerning. So then I go over here to Scarbrand, and I'm looking to really dick him in the face, piling all my Chosen, and I'm actually able to get within 6 inches of his Wrathmongers with my pile-in, which means that I also get that bonus for +1 attack from my unit. So these Chosen will have 4 attacks each, and that's pretty nice. I'm looking forward to this. And I hack 11 wounds off him. So that was pretty awesome. I'm quite happy with that. He's only got 3 wounds left now. I nearly had him. If he only made a couple less saves, I would have killed him. That's pretty nice. Quite happy about that. So that's the last thing I had to do in terms of my attacking. Likewise for him, so we go into the Battle Shock phase. The first thing I do is roll a 1 over here. I get 2 Plague Drones back, which is fantastic. These guys are holding up this entire flank, stopping this big unit of Blood Warriors and the Skull Reapers from wrapping around and going into my Chosen and stuff. So really, really happy to have these guys here. Fantastic. Unfortunately, I then lose the rest of my chosen to Battle Shock. I roll a 6. I had to remove my Banner Bearer earlier due to if I didn't remove him, he wouldn't have been able to attack in the combat phase. I needed as many attacks as I could get. So I ended up removing him. So I didn't have the bravery bonus, and I just lost all 7 of them. So that's a bit shitty, but can't argue too much. They just get absolutely annihilated by an angry bloodthirster. And then I also lose every single one of my Ungor. He killed enough of them, pretty much half, plus my -1 bravery from the Khorgoraths. And I rolled high. What can I say? I think I rolled a 5 or a 6, so the rest of them fled. Nothing I could do. So then we go into the initiative roll-off, and fortunately, I win it again. So we are still on even keel with that. The first thing I do is laser beam. Yes, his sorcerer casts arcane missile and slams it straight into Scarbrand's face, taking off the last 3 wounds. I rolled my 3 on the D3, and that's all I wanted. That's fantastic. Really happy to be rid of that fucker. So on this side of the board, I wasn't sure what could do the job. The only way I could have done it is piling the Nurglings in and hoping they didn't fuck up, or piling that 1 wound left Harbinger of Decay in and attacking first. So this is a much cleaner way of doing it. So we move around, and I do a fair bit. My Lord of Plagues on the right hand side moves up towards the Skull Reapers to help that beast out. Orgots comes across as well. The Putrid Blight Kings move up. They're aiming for that Chaos Lord on Juggernaut. I want to take him down now. The Demon Prince and the Glockin move up towards the Skull Cannons and Marauders, and everything else on the left hand side just kind of moves around. Both my sorcerers move back as well. In terms of spells, I get Fleshy Abundance again off on the Plague Bearers. I get Mystic Shield and the reroll 1s thing off on the Glotkin. I get Mystic Shield off again on Orgots, so he's got 2 up save now, which is fantastic. And I get Orgots command ability on the Blight Kings, so they're rerolling all their failed wounds as well. So doing pretty well on that front. Then we go to my shooting phase, and it's pretty successful. Over here, Orgots is able to tongue and kill 2 of the Skull Reapers, which is fantastic. I'm pretty happy about that. Then we go into charges with no other shooting that did anything. My Harbinger and the Nurglings charge into the Wrathmongers, hoping just to get rid of them. The Glotkin goes into the Skull Grinder. That should be easy work after the Soul Grinder. The Demon Prince hits the Marauder Horsemen. Hopefully I can remove them pretty nicely. And the Blight Kings go into the Lord on Juggernaut. Equally, Orgots and the Lord of Plagues hit the Skull Reapers. Those guys just need to disappear, and that's great. Over here, I attack first with my Harbinger of Decay, just hoping to get rid of the Skull Reapers. I do kill one. Unfortunately, when I kill them, every time I kill one, the unit that attacked can attack itself. So the Harbinger of Decay then attacked himself and promptly embedded his scythe in his own face and died like a little bitch. So yeah, he's dead, and that's wonderful. Over here, then, he attacks with his Lord on Juggernauts. No, sorry, he piles in with his Exalted Deathbringer on the left-hand side. He was just close enough, so he piles in with him and attacks, and is able to do really, really well. He kills a whole Blight King, and puts the remaining, and one of the others had 1 wound left, so he did 4 wounds to the Blight Kings, killing essentially 2 of them, really diminishing my output. So that sucked a bit. I didn't quite catch that. Then I pack in with my Nurglings, because why not? And I'm able to kill another Wrathmonger, which is fantastic. They're only under 2 now. And he does make my Nurglings attack themselves, because why not? And they do a wound to me, but that's fine. Over here, he attacks with his Skull Cannon, because he thought might as well. And he's able to put 4 wounds onto the Glotkin. 4! This Skull Cannon is nomming things like there's no tomorrow. Jesus. So then I attack next. I pile in with my Plague Bearers. Thought might as well. Nothing better to pile in with for now. I'm able to attack the Khorgoraths and the Fleshhounds a little bit. I end up attacking pretty much entirely the Khorgorath. I kill one entirely and put 5 wounds onto the other. Pretty happy about that. Then he piles in with his Marauder Horsemen. and he is able to put a single wound onto the Demon Prince, which is fine. I'm not too fussed about that. There's plenty of where that came from. Then over here, I attack with Orgots, and he's able to kill a single Skull Reaper on his own and put a wound onto the remaining one. With when they have a rule where they die, they roll a dice. On a 4 or 5, the attacking unit takes a mortal wound. On a 6, they take D3 mortal wounds. So I took a mortal wound for that. And interestingly, so I took a mortal wound for that, and then for every wound Orgot suffers, on a 4 up, the attacking unit then takes a mortal wound. So I killed him, I took a mortal wound for it, then for that mortal wound, I gave him a mortal wound back. So that's why he's got the floating wound on him. That's fantastic. Yay, rules! Over here, I attack with my Glotkin, because I might as well, and I'm able to put, I think it's 6 wounds onto the Skullcan. I'm not quite able to kill it. I pants my rolls a little bit. So he's got 1 wound left now, so that's a bit shitty. But yeah, can't win them all. Over here, he attacks with his, I think it's his skull grinder that attacks next, and he's able to kill 2 whole plague drones, which is pretty nasty. So one had 3 floating wounds, so there's a total of 8 wounds, which is pretty nasty. He's a pretty nasty model though. Then over here, my beast is able to attack and puts the last 2 wounds he needed to onto the Skull Reaper. Does take an extra wound back for that 4+ wound thing, but that's fine. They're now dead. There's a unit out of the way. I've pretty much entirely secured this right flank. There's an objective on this right flank, and that's brilliant. Then over here, I pile with my plague drones, and I'm able to hack another couple apart. I do take a further 2 wounds from the attacks they give, and from their gore fists. But you know what? This unit is now down to 6 men, and so that's far diminished. Cost me a plague drones, but that's okay. I'm doing well on the other flank. So I'm losing that flank. The other flank's fine. I've just got to make sure I win the middle. So I attack here with my Demon Prince, and I'm able to kill 2 Marauder Horsemen. Not as many as I'd like, but you know, I can take it. And I put a floating wound on another, so I did 5 wounds altogether. Over here, he attacks with his, what piled in here? I think his War Shrine piled in here, but absolutely pants his attacks. Maybe killed 1 Nurgling base, but didn't do very well. Over here, I piled with my Blight Kings, and they go nuts. They do 5 wounds to the Lord on Juggernaut. This is all down to his saves. He rolled really, really well on his saves. I think this is I got 12 attacks here, so from the Glotkin's command ability, they've each got 4 attacks, and I get 22 wounds. Which is absolutely absurd. Fantastic. I love Blight Kings. I'm never not using these guys. But yeah, so that happened. So his general's nearly dead at least. Then over here, he attacks with his Wrathmongers, and they're able to to kill another bunch of Nurglings. Then he piles in with his Fleshhounds here, and kills a couple of Blade Bearers. Then he piles in with his Soul Grinder. So I've got no units left to attack with, so he's just piling in the rest of his stuff. And he is able, but he doesn't do very well. I think he maybe kills 1 or 2 Plague Bearers, but he's not getting through that fast. So then we go into his turn, and his Slaughter Priest uses that weird D6 mortal wounds power on a 4-up, but +1 if you've done a wound, which he did on the Nurglings. And he puts 4 mortal wounds onto my Herald of Nurgle. I fail. Actually, he did 5, and I managed to pass 1 of my disgustingly resilient. So he's hanging on by a thread now, and that's not good. Then we go into his movements. Stuff shuffles around largely. His Marauder Horsemen retreated from my Demon Prince, and they've got a rule where they can retreat and still shoot. I think they can charge as well, but I'm not sure about that. But either way, they can still shoot. That's the important part, because they're aiming up some shots to EPIDEMIUS. He's given the entire army rerolls of 1s to hit and wound, and on their saves at the moment from all the dead stuff I've killed. Which is really, really, really helping. So he wants EPIDEMIUS dead now. The rest of the board, stuff just shimmies around. His Skull Reapers move, pretty much just everything moves forward. It's not a particularly original, interesting turn of movement. His Skull Reapers are planning on the left-hand side, planning on charging into the Plague Drones. And his buffs are kind of pretty standard. He puts, that's fine. In his shooting phase, his Marauding Horseman, like I said, throw some javelins at some EPIDEMIUS and pluck a single wound off him, and that's alright. And with his the rest of his shooting does pretty much nothing. I think he might have missed with everything. Or maybe he fires into the Plague Bearers and does a couple of wounds. Nothing significant. So he charges in his Blood Reavers here into the Glocken, and whatever floats your boat, I suppose. His Skull Grinder then goes into this Plague Bearer, this Herald of Nurgle, and that guy's probably fucked. And his Skull Reapers fly into the Plague Drones, and they are also pretty much fucked. So he does this one first. He does the Skull Grinder first because he wants that Herald dead before the Herald can kill him, and he easily is able to do it. He's got a bunch of additional attacks going on at the moment and a bunch of buffs on him, so he wants to kill him. The reason this happened, he wanted to kill him so badly, is because if the Skull Grinder kills a hero or monster, every mortal Khorne unit, that's that big unit of 10 Skull Reapers and the Blood Warriors, get Blood Blessed. So now, for every hit of a 4+ they make, they make 2 wound rolls instead of 1. Now, that sounds alright. It's fucking horrendous. It will come to pass in this game. I'll have to deal with them, and you'll see what I mean. Oh! So all of those guys now get, including the Skull Grinder. So, they're now, all that unit is now extremely nasty, and that's not something I'd accounted for. I should have pissed that Herald right out of there. So I attack over here with my Blight Kings next, because I want to kill that General, and I do. I managed to kill that General right in his stupid face, and he dies, and that's fantastic. I'm really happy about that. And over here, he piles in with his Blood Reavers, and is able to do an absolute sodding nothing to the Glocken, because he's just a big ball of flesh with 3-up save re-rolling ones, and that's fantastic. I like it. So I attack with the Glocken. It takes me an embarrassing number of my attacks to kill that last wound off the Skull Cannon, but I do it. And with my last tranche of attacks, I turn around and murder 5-6 Blood Reavers. So yeah, that's fine. And I also note that my Demon Prince is close enough to pile in, so he's going to be doing that and hopefully killing the rest in a bit. He attacks over here next with his Plague Drone, with his Skull Reapers, I think, and is pretty easily able to kill everything, and that's fine. He piles in with his Wolves and is able to kill one Plague Bearer and take a wound off another. Then I pile in here with my Nurglings and attack, and I'm able to kill another Wrathmonger, so he's only down to 1 now. And the resulting wounds that he hits me back with takes 2 wounds off my Nurglings. That's such a great rule. So then my Plague Bearers pile in, and I'm just trying to kill all of the residual stuff there. I've got +1 attack on every single one of those from my Glocken, so that's fingers crossed to do it. I'm able to hack 4 of the 5 Flesh Hounds apart, so they're nearly dead, and I'm able to kill the Khorgorath, so that's freeing up a big space in the middle. Hopefully I can capture that central objective that's right there. Over here, he piles in with his, I think this is the Wrathmonger, and is able to kill one of the remaining bases and put 2 ones onto another. Then I pile in over here with my Demon Prince, and I attack and murder everyone ever. So the rest of those guys now are dead and off the board. That's fantastic. Then he attacks over here with his Exalted Deathbringer, and he's able to kill one of the Blight Kings. So there's down to only 2 of them left now, and that's sad. And I think this is his Slaughter Priest is easily able to kill that last Nurgle base, and that's fine, they're out of the way now. So here's over here, I attacked over here with my Plague Drones earlier. I thought it was them attacking me, no, it was me attacking them, I did fuck all. And he attacks me and kills both Plague Drones easily. Then we go into the initiative roll-off, and I believe he wins it, actually. Yeah, he wins this one, so he gets a double turn right here, and that's not a great time for him to get a double turn, but not the worst time in the world, so yeah. Wasn't pleased about it, but hey-ho. So over here, his Marauding Horsemen are looking at EPIDEMIUS, but it is the Skull Cannon shooting that blasts a hole straight through his chest and does 5 wounds to him. So he's only got 1 wound left now. When these guys throw javelins at them, They don't manage to do anything, fortunately, so they're going to have to charge in order to do damage to him, and I'm okay with that. And that's all the shooting he had, though, so he does just that. He charges in, and kill him. Which sucked. All his rerolls from his tally were really, really helping me at this point, so it was sad to see that go, but hey-ho, that's how it is. Fortunately, Orgots appear to just be close enough to pile in, so hopefully retribution will be swift. That's all I care about. So I attack over here next with my Blight Kings against the Exalted Deathbringer, his lieutenant, and holy shit. I'm able to do 4 wounds to him. I do a bunch of wounds. He makes a bunch of saves, though. For every save he makes of a 6, he does D3 mortal wounds back to me. And that put 4 wounds total. So, ouch. Killed a whole Blight King and put a wound on the last one. So even though he's only got a wound left, he's still got his attacks left to attack. So that had me a bit scared. Then over here, he piled in with his Soul Grinder and did a bunch of attacks, but didn't do much damage. And then I attack back and do with my Plague Bearers as many as I can go against the Soul Grinder, and I'm able to kill the Fleshhound and put 6 wounds onto the Soul Grinder, and that's cool. Then over here, Orgots piles into the Marauder Horseman and isn't able to kill them all. Oh no! He only puts 3 wounds onto the unit, so kills 2 of them, and there's 1 remaining guy there, and that's a bit sad. And that's the only combat left, so we go into the Battle Shock phase. And I roll a 1 for the Plague Bearers, so they get 4 back. So that Soul Grinder just did a fat load of nothing. So I go to my turn again, and the first thing I do is this guy again casts Arcane Missile on the Soul Grinder, just trying to get a couple extra wounds off. And I do plink a couple additional wounds off, and that's great. So I move around a bit. I decide to retreat from the Marauder Horseman with Orgots. I really want to get him back over this side. He's too far out of the fight over there. So he runs and moves as far as he can over this way. So does the Beast. He's coming into the fight as well. And the Lord of Plagues stays behind. He should be able to deal with that single Marauder Horseman on his own. I'd be very disappointed if he couldn't. So there you go. At this turn I cast Mystic Shield again on the Glotkin. And I try to cast Fleshy Abundance on the Plague Bearers again, but I fail this turn. And that sucks. So that unit is a whole lot more vulnerable right now. And also puts I use the Glotkin's command ability for +1 attack for everyone within 14 inches, and Orgots uses his command ability on the Demon Prince for re-rolling failed wounds, which without the Epidemius is now more important than ever. So we go into the shooting phase, and the Glotkin lines up his Pestilent Torrent against the Soul Grinder, and takes the fucker out. Yes! So good. 2d6 wounds is so strong. Really happy about that. So, yeah, fantastic. That thing's dead, out of the way. And now, not only that, but my Plague Bearers are no longer engaged, so they can charge, which is fantastic. So we go into charges, and my Lord of Plagues charges in here. My Demon Prince goes in here. I just need this Deathbringer dead. And the Glotkin goes into this Skull Cannon again. He's now healed 3 of his wounds that he had. He's only got a single wound on him left. And the Plague Bearers pile into these Blood Reavers, because I want them dead too. So I decided to attack with these guys first. These Blood Reavers, scare me a little bit. They've got +1 attack from the Totem, +1 attack from the Wrathmonger, and +1 attack from the Blood Secretor. So these guys are actually sporting 4-5 attacks each, I think. Rerolling 1, so I just don't want to take a whole void from them. I want them dead. So I do just that. I kill every single one of them. Because not only do I get +1 attack from the Glotkin, I also get +1 attack from that Wrathmonger who's standing there. So even though they get the +1, so do I. And that's fantastic. So they all die like little bitches, and that's great. But he attacks here with his Skull Cannon. The son of a bitch does it again. He just chomps 3 wounds straight out of the Glotkin, and that sucks. Over here, I go with my Demon Prince, and he absolutely flubs his attacks. I don't do a single wound to the Deathbringer, so that guy's apparently invincible. Fortunately, I don't take anything back. I pretty much just missed with all of my attacks. So that's sad, but hey ho. So I attack over here with my Lord of Plagues, and I kill the Marauder Horseman quite easily. So that flank is now entirely secure. There's nothing left of his on that flank, and that's great. So I'm just going to whack that Lord of Plagues on that objective, and he's going to sit there quite happily. Then, in retaliation, his War Shrine piles into the Plague Bearers and is able to kill 4 of them. They're much more vulnerable now without any, what do we call it? Fleshy abundance from the Glotkin. And then his Exalted Deathbringer attacks over here and is able to kill the last Blight King, and that's sad. Those guys did really, really well. Fortunately, my Glotkin is on ball now. He annihilates that skull cannon and turns around to face the rest of the army. Then his Wrathmonger piles in and is able to kill maybe 1 or 2 Plague Bearers. I'm not sure he does anything, actually. He doesn't do very well. And that's fine. I can live with that. So we go to the initiative roll-off again, and he wins it again. So that's fine. And he moves stuff forward. So his big, his scary chunk of Skull Reapers and Blood Warriors start moving around the sort of the hill there. The Blood Reavers rush forward with a plan to charge. That's pretty much all he's got left, so he does that. The Blood Reavers go straight in. Remember, they've got the whole issue from before. They're re-rolling from the War Shrine. They've got +1 attack from the Wrathmonger, the Bloodstoker. So these guys are pretty scary. When they come to attack, though, they kind of don't do very well. They only kill 4 Plague Bearers, which kind of sucks. I was expecting them to do a lot better than that, but yeah, hey ho, we're not going to complain too much. That's fine. So there's pretty much nothing else that really matters too much, so I pile in here first, before his other stuff, like his Wrathmonger gets to attack. Piling all the way around, and I hack everything to pieces. He's got 1 Blood Reaver left. His War Shrine takes a wound. His Wrathmonger dies. All the Blood Reavers die. And I'm really happy about that. That's fantastic. I think he attacks back then with his War Shrine and kills 1 or 2 Plague Bearers, but nothing substantial. Then I go over here with my Demon Prince and hack the Deathbringer apart. And that's an extra victory point for me, and that's fantastic. Then over here, we go to the initiative roll-off. Oh, sorry, no, we just go to my turn, sorry. And yeah, we go over here. I try to cast Fleshy Abundance on the Plague Bearers again, but I fail again, and that sucks. I cast a bunch of buffy spells, Mystic Shield on Orgots and the Glotkin. I think I get Mystic Shield off on the Plague Bearers as well, and that's fine. In my shooting phase, it's pretty much a wash. Nothing really too much happens. Oh, in terms of movement, sorry, everything just rushes across, apart from the Lord of Plagues sits on that objective, capturing points there. The Great Brace Shaman also moves up towards the central objective, just to try and score the points on that one. And that's fantastic. In the shooting phase, nothing really happens. In the combat phase, the Glotkin piles into the War Shrine and annihilates it without any problem whatsoever. At this point, I've healed another 3 wounds, so I'm back to only 1 wound on me. Smashed apart the War Shrine, so that thing's down, which is fantastic. So we go in, and then over here, the Plague Bearers, funnily enough, are able to kill that last Blood Reaver who's sitting there. So we go into the initiative roll-off now, and I win it this time. It's my turn for a double turn, and that's fantastic. Really happy about that. So I try to cast some spells again. I don't get Fleshy Abundance off on the Plague Bearers, and that sucked. I was really hoping for it here. I need something bad here. I do, however, get Mystic Shield off on them. I get Mystic Shield off on the Glotkin, and I get the rerolling 1s to hit and wound and saves on the Glotkin. So he's now a bit of a tank again. The Glotkin also heals his last wound, so he's back to full wounds now, ready to go into this combat. It's a nasty one. So I'm hoping the Glotkin can just powerhouse it through, as he has managed to do. In the shooting phase, the Orgots is able to tongue open the Bloodsecrator, the Bloodstoker even, and put 3 wounds on him. That's fine. He's about to get charged by a bunch of angry stuff. And the Glotkin aims for the Slaughter Priest and kills him. I got 2d6 wounds, and you see that double 6 there? That's the number of wounds he does. I'm actually a bit gutted I didn't choose to shoot like the the Skull Reapers, and that would have killed 4 of them, which would have been fantastic. But, you know, c'est la vie. 12 wounds on the Slaughter Priest meant he was dead thoroughly. So we go to charges. Glocken and Pile straight into the Skull Reapers. Not the best matchup for him, but I wanted them dead as soon as possible. And the Plague Bearers go into the Blood Warriors. And over here, this poor thing gets charged by Orgots and the Demon Prince. And I was quite confident about that combat, to be honest with you. In the combat, the Glocken goes first, and between his impact hits and all his attacks, he's able to kill 3 Skull Reapers and put a wound on another. So, not too bad. Quite happy with that. Then he goes over here with his Blood Warriors. They pile in, attack the Plague Bearers, kill a couple, actually do pretty well. This is where I suddenly realised that's the ability from the Skull Grinder, where if he hits on a 4+, he gets an additional to wound roll. It's pretty nasty. So he kills 5 Plague Bearers right off the bat. They've got Mystic Shield on them, and they reroll. And you know, so that gives you some ideas to, you know, with my 4-up armor save, 5-up disgustingly resilient save, he still killed 5 of them. Says something about how nasty this is. It's about to get worse. Over here, Orgots is quite easily able to kill the Bloodstoker, so just get him out of the way. That's fine. And he piles in with his Skull Reapers. I can't remember their name. And he starts off by doing 3 wounds with one of the Vicious Mutations. It's a D3 wound weapon. And then he does a bunch more wounds. What's that? 11 wounds he does to me? Oh, God. So that's put me right down to a pretty poor threshold. So he's hacked seriously into me there, and that's not good. Fortunately, he did take another wound from his demon weapons, which hurt him back. And I pile in with my Plague Bearers, which attack pretty avidly, able to kill 2 Blood Warriors, I think, and I think possibly even kill another Skull Reaper, or at least put a couple of wounds onto one. So that's all right. Can't argue with that too much. So we go into his turn, and his Skull Grinder moves up into that space between the Plague Bearers. He's going to charge in there. That's pretty much the only thing that happens. He's got very little in the way of buffs left. His Blood Secretor, you can see next to that rock. Well, not very well to see. It's all black, but you can see the banner. That's still plus. They're all getting +1 attack. And he attacks the Glocken, and he nearly kills him. He puts another couple of wounds onto him. So he's now sporting 15 wounds. I roll really well with my armor saves here. I think I make like 7 out of 9 armor saves. I'm really lucky here. So we go over here now, and my Plague Bearers attack, and they are able to kill 2 Skull Reapers, and the rest of the Blood Warriors. So that was fantastic. I was really happy about that. Really takes a massive chunk out of his damage potential. However, then his Skull Grinder attacks, and holy shit, this thing was getting +1 attack, but he hits on 3s, wounds on 2s. For every hit of a 4+ he gets an additional hit. So he had 3 attacks. He hit with all of them on 4+. I got 6 hits, 2+ to wound. I failed enough of my saves, and each one is 3 damage. So he pulls apart. Is that 12 maybe Plague Bearers? Absolutely devastating. Couldn't believe how strong that was. Holy shit, that thing. Fortunately, to pull my mood back, the Glocken attacks, and he steps on the rest of these Skull Reapers, which is fantastic. They are out of the way now. All he's got left sitting there is a Skull Grinder, and I'm very happy about that. And what makes matters worse, however, is, remember earlier I was saying about if you kill a Skull Reaper, on a 4 or 5, he gets a mortal wound. On a 6, he gets D3 mortal wounds. Well, he rolled 3 4-ups, and the Glocken died. He did really well. The Glocken was outstanding this game, but he eventually died to a dying Skull Reaper, and that's sad. And anyway, then we go to the Battle Shock phase, and oh god, I think I roll a 6, and all but one of my Plague Bearers run away. That's really sad. This Skull Grinder has just annihilated nearly 25 Plague Bearers by himself. It's outstanding. I couldn't believe it. I'm so impressed with that Skull Grinder. Oh, God. So then we go into my turn. I win the next initiative roll-off. And I cast... I just want to get rid of that thing as soon as possible. I cast Arcane Missile at the Skull Grinder from my Chaos Sorcerer, and I do 1 wound. I cast Arcane Missile from my Bray Shaman, and I do 1 wound. Which was so lame. I then run forward with everything. Orgots comes in, the Beast comes in, both my Wizards come in, and my Demon Prince moves over to charge that Blood Secretor who's hiding in that rock there. At the back. So, in the meantime, the Lord of Plagues is still on the far side capturing that objective, and I'm leaving that Chaos Familiar on the right-hand side there just to capture that one, because I'm sneaky. Then in the shooting phase, Orgots uses his tongue attack against the Skull Grinder, and I'll do 1 wound. Oh, God's sake. I had 2 D3s, I rolled 1, I had a D6 and I rolled 1. I just can't kill the guy. That's sad. So I guess I'm going to do this the old-fashioned way. That's exactly what I do. I pile in Orgots, the Beast, the Sorcerer, and the Plague-Bearer come back to the fight. The Great Bray Shaman, the Swarmbringer, does try to get in, but he fails his charge. He doesn't really fancy himself, and who can blame the poor bastard? I also make this charge over here into the Blood Secretor, so the Demon Prince goes in there, and that's fine. I'm not confident about. I don't think I'll kill him in 1, but you never know. I've got quite a high damage output. Fingers crossed. So we go over here first, and Orgots is quite easily able to kill that Skull Grinder. Thank God, without taking any damage. Because if that Skull Grinder got his chops on Orgots, I'd probably die, to be honest with you. So that's quite a happy thing to have happened. Then he goes over here. He does nothing to me. I'm only able to do a single wound back to him. He's got 3 up saves in cover, so he's got 2 up save. You know, he's doing pretty well there. But that's the end of Battle Round 6, and the end of the game. So there we have it. A fantastic game. How bloody is that? There is nothing left on the battlefield. It's bare. I've got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 proper models left. Outrageous how much carnage happened. He's got 1 model left, I've got 7. So a handful of models left on the battlefield. It was so down to the wire, I couldn't believe it. Right at the end, where those Skull Reapers and the Skull Grinder killed the Glotkin and all those Plague Bearers, I honestly thought I might not even win. I might not even pull this out. Even though I wouldn't have minded losing this game because it was such a great game. I love games that are down to the wire like this. Could have gone either way right until the end. I was really happy. We discussed man of the match afterwards. My man of the match was definitely the Glotkin. He smashed through 2 Soul Grinders, 2 Skull Cannons, buffed all of my forces endlessly, and killed the War Shrine and killed 10 Skull Reapers all by himself. And the Slaughter Priest he killed, didn't he? So he did absolutely outstandingly. He is such a good model. If anyone doesn't have the Glotkin, get the Glotkin. So good. I think my opponent agreed that his man of the match is probably that Skull Grinder, just because right at the end there he turned a game which was in my advantage straight down the toilet with that. He just that ability of his is so strong. So that's what his man of the match was, the Skull Grinder. So there you have it. Fantastic game. Was really looking forward to this game, and I was really nervous to know how it would turn out in terms of playing a big game like this in Age of Sigmar. And as you might be able to tell, it went really well. Really fun game. I can't wait for another big game like this. It was such good fun. It worked a lot better than large games of 8th edition Fantasy, which is a big bonus for me, because I love big games. And, there you go. So, win for the Legions of Nurgle just by the skin of their rotten teeth. And a fantastic game. Really happy about this one. So, thanks very much for watching. If you've made it through this large, grueling one. I know it's a long one. Hopefully it was worth it if you made it to the end. Drop me a line if you have any feedback. If you want to see anything. Like the video, subscribe to my channel, or follow me on Twitter at @morewargames. Thanks very much for watching, guys, and stay tuned for more Hammer.